PM&S's first podcast. I'm Chris Jolly, writer, editor. This is Bill Rowland, who's a writer and a radio personality.
Wouldn't you be owner?
A radio personality?
CEO or whatever of the
Owner,
site as well?
CEO, but when it doesn't make a profit, you don't mention that. I'm a writer, editor of PM&S and its founder. That's my dog, Bo. Bo, please don't touch that. Bo, don't touch. Thank God. And again, Bill Rowland, who's also a radio personality. We're going to talk politics, movies, and sports for the next. Exactly. I guess I should explain that to people. PM&S, politics, movies, and sports. We're going to talk politics, movies, and what was the last one? Sports for the next hour or so. And we hope you enjoy it because this is a new venture for PM&S. And we're going to try to do this every week. We don't have any sponsors yet, but I'm going to drink not your mother's, not your father's root beer, which is delicious. And we're just going to see how it goes. So there's no pressure here. There's no ratings. There's no profit. There's nothing. So we're gonna have some fun and talk. So
just two guys talking.
Yeah,
politics.
In a love seat with a little. You see the divider here.
Sports.
It's a love seat, but there's a divider here, so it's perfectly okay. Let's see. I'm gonna recline a little.
Take a load off. Show the people your lovely bottom of your feet. They'll enjoy that tremendously.
They'll see I'm a hard worker with the dirt on the back of my feet.
Yes.
I'll show I'm a man of the earth. Now, politics. What's the date today? August 31st?
It's the last day of August. The summer is nearly over. A lot of kids already have headed back to school. Some kids have been there for a couple weeks now.
I know. I don't know how that works really when it's so hot outside, but I guess some kids are back. A lot of them wait till after Labor Day. Mm-hmm. But nobody pays attention to anything during the summer, in theory. I mean, the sports are kind of at a lull. You got baseball, the pennant races.
Training camps opening up.
Training camps, but I mean, what's the longest you've ever watched an exhibition game, honestly? Have you watched a whole exhibition game?
No,
I never have.
I can't remember the last time I would have watched from start to finish an entire exhibition game. No,
yeah, I watched for the first injury, and that's about it. I cringe. I watched Green Bay Philly the other night. I watched Philly just go up and down on the Packers and get up. I think it was 18, 19 to nothing. But I couldn't watch past.
No, I mean Aaron Rodgers didn't even play. Has he played yet in the preseason?
Yeah, he played. But they only had two starters this time, so they weren't going to send Aaron Rodgers out there to play the Eagles.
So any of those, it doesn't matter, and it doesn't. Yeah. It usually doesn't even matter in politics either, but that hasn't been the case so far this year.
Exactly.
It kind of started, I would say, even back in February and March, and it's just steamrolled even more and more. And in some ways, people who don't like politics probably hate this,
right?
Because it's a non-election year, and we're still being inundated every single day. It's about the election, which is still over a year away. It's about all the primaries, which are still months away. But if you're a political junkie, this has been heaven.
Exactly. I mean, and it's an irritating process, first of all. I mean, you got to start, if you're going to be president, if you're going to try to be president, you got to start thinking about 2, 3, 4 years in advance. You got to start raising money. I mean, the Clintons, before she even finally said she was running for president. Before Jeb Bush said, I'm finally running for president, their super PACs and all that, they're at full steam. They were talking to donors for a year or more. And it's an irritating process because you don't want to hear about it. But that goes if it's the same old stuff. It's not really the same old stuff this year.
No, it has been amazing to watch, especially the latest polls. And I know we're going to get to what's come out of Iowa here in the last 24, 48 hours. But it has been amazing to see people making fun of Trump because he said in the past, he's always said, I'm going to run. And then when it comes down to brass tacks, he doesn't file, he doesn't do the necessary thing, and he just kind of fades away. Everybody thought the same thing this time. When he came out and said, I'm going to run, I'm going to do all these things, everyone went, yeah, sure. And then he actually filed the paperwork. And then he actually released his tax from the last few years. He had to put out his tax returns. And
Oh, my fault. I'm sorry.
he did
That's
all
somebody
those-
calling me.
probably some very important information.
Oh, that's the bank. The mortgage I just ran them. They're calling about
right.
that.
There you go.
Let me call it. How terrible of me.
No,
Please continue.
it's fine. I thought it might have been somebody actually giving us another scoop on
Call it 204 when Bill
Donald
starts
Trump.
rambling.
But so he has his tax returns put out there, and all of a sudden he was legitimate.
Right.
As legitimate as people were taking Donald Trump.
I wrote a column. I don't know when it was. I think it was 3 months ago, and it was seeding the Republican candidates in a March Madness column. I said, quote, Donald Trump is not going to run. This is all about publicity. But sure enough, he actually did it.
And God bless him, because after he made the comments, which you could take them however you want to, about the illegal immigration or any of that stuff, and NBC dumps him, and all these other people were dumped, and he didn't back up and say, yeah, I probably misspoke, or I shouldn't have said that. The famous thing is politicians always say, I shouldn't have phrased it quite that way. He doubles down on everything.
It's amazing.
He doubled down on Megyn Kelly. He doubles on everything.
Yeah.
And yet people love him.
Yeah.
And I don't know that he's going to be able to maintain the momentum all the way through the fall and into next year, but he's not going away.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if it's just a novelty thing when people aren't totally paying attention.
Yeah.
And they kind of just go, wow, he's finally, saying what needs to be said, but not paying attention to everything else. Or if, this is, and we've talked about it, we're going to talk about it in a minute, a non-establishment candidate.
Yeah. If,
that's not something that's, first of all, that's not something that's going away. Second of all, though, is this stuff, are people just so fed up with the PC, stick up their ice culture that they want somebody like Trump to just shake it up?
It feels that way.
But some of the things he's saying, I wouldn't say.
Well,
and I'm an anti-PC. I hate PC.
Look,
PC is one of the worst things that's happening to our country right now. But I wouldn't say some of the stuff.
No, and the thing that he said, and it's funny because every time he says something more and more outrageous, what's the narrative in the media? Oh, now he's done it. Trump's stuck his foot in his mouth. This will be the death blow. First, it was what he said about immigration. Mm-hmm. And he got fired, and he didn't back away from that. Then it was when he and McCain got into it.
I thought McCain, he was done.
I thought it was over. Everybody thought it was.
I thought it was done.
Nope. No, nothing. He seems to be as Teflon as there is out there as a candidate.
Do not like John McCain.
But it's stunning to me because most people have unfavorability numbers towards Trump too, and that tide is even starting to turn.
Yeah.
Where before he was like 35-40% favorable, and now I think in some polls he's above 50%.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That has staying power.
And you mentioned the unfavorable ratings. Those are huge as well, and that's obviously an issue for Hillary Clinton right now. But Donald Trump's unfavorable ratings, while still the highest in the Republican field, they've gone down significantly.
Yeah.
And a lot of political commentators, at one point they were at 57, 60%.
Yeah.
People wouldn't vote for him. Now they're at like 40, which is, it's still too high probably for right now. But, it's significant because if he can cut those down another 10, 15%, that's not going to be an issue, I don't think.
The amazing thing is talking about polls, and we might as well jump right into the latest Iowa polls and the things that have come out. And you talk about the people wanting a non-establishment candidate, at least from the Republican side, it seems that way. Everybody running on the Democrat side is an establishment type candidate because, I guess you wouldn't say Bernie Sanders is, but he's been an elected official for a long time.
Right.
The people that are leading on the Republican side, in this latest poll, who your first choice was and second choice was, and they combine them, Trump and Ben Carson tied when you put together who's your first choice, who's your second choice. Trump wins as far as the first choice goes, but Carson's only, I think, 5 to 7 points behind him.
Right.
But then when you add in, okay, who's your second choice, Carson wins that number and ends up tied with Trump. And the amazing thing is, it's not Trump who's second, it's Carly. She's second when you get to your second choice. So I think she ends up either third or fourth overall in that mark, which is remarkable for her.
And she's not going to be able to be in that second debate,
which is amazing.
Possibly, it really is. You know, CNN using old polls. I think that debate's coming up in September, late September maybe. But she's doing well. She never held elected office.
No.
She failed.
She got
as a
crushed in
senator
California.
She ran in California for the Senate. I guess against Feinstein, was it?
I believe so. Yes. Was she running against either Dianne Feinstein or Barbara Boxer? But I don't remember which one.
I can't remember. I think it was Feinstein, but she lost there. Obviously, Dr. Carson has never held office.
No.
Donald Trump has never held office. And then even the guy in the latest Iowa poll that's in the top 4 is Ted Cruz at number 4. And even though he's in the Senate, you could easily say he's as anti-establishment
absolutely.
as they come.
Absolutely.
So right there, the top 4 in Iowa, and Iowa doesn't speak for the whole country, obviously, but the top 4 right there, and Scott Walker was up by 10 points there. Scott Walker was up by 10 points, and now he's not even in the top 4 there.
Which is amazing because Walker's a guy that everybody in Wisconsin, it seemed like all the stories that coming out of there were always, nobody could figure out how he actually won. And then they tried to recall him, and he beat them, and then he ran for re-election, and he beat them again. All the guy does, if you're a Republican and looking at it, you have to look at him and say, my gosh, all the guy does is win in what is usually a very solid Democrat Union state, and all he's done is beat them back time after time after time, but he just can't get any traction on the national level because, again, people look at it and they go, well, he didn't graduate college, and he doesn't have the greatest of personalities, let's be honest. He's a bit stiff
but
at times.
he had dispelled a lot of that when he was speaking in Iowa.
Sure.
6 months ago, and it showed in his big lead in Iowa. And if he can't win Iowa, he's done, probably. Well, at least a second place finish.
Well, and I don't understand. You talk about him being done. I don't understand. I guess
Speaking of being done, there's a lot of people that should be done.
Why don't we tick that off? We talked Lindsey Graham.
I love talking. Lindsey Graham's the worst candidate.
That he was going to drop
out. If people hate John McCain, people to Lindsey Graham is the most establishment, non-likable. And he's supposedly kind of a funny guy who sticks his foot in his mouth.
Yeah.
I mean,
we have that on the other side. If Joe Biden gets the nomination, we don't need 2 guys sticking their foot in the mouth.
Biden has some charisma, at least. Lindsey Graham. I wrote an article, and it's the guys that shouldn't run for president, and I got them all right except for Sanders. I didn't think Sanders should run. I was wrong on that. O'Malley, who had a terrible record in Maryland, who lost to a Republican in the solid blue state by 8 points, I think, or 6 points. O'Malley, I don't know why he's running. He's ticked about the debates, but he doesn't have a chance anyway. O'Malley, Graham, Rick Perry.
Well, there you go. That's what you got slaughtered the last time around because you couldn't get through the debate. What would make you think that this time
I feel bad
it would
for
work
him
out?
Because he had that terrible moment where he couldn't remember the 3 steps to his 3-step plan, and it can happen. It can happen to anybody.
Absolutely,
it can happen to me. It could happen to you.
Oh,
we're the most intelligent guys I know. He just had his moment. It's done.
You can't take it away. Yeah, you can't take it back. You can't fix it. He didn't recover well from it.
Yeah.
So I don't know why he thought that it would work any better in 2016. Look, I think he's done a pretty good job in Texas.
Yeah.
I think for the most part, he's done a good job in Texas.
Yeah.
But nationally, he's got no shot. So why do you continue to flood money unless he just thinks?
Well, he doesn't have any money.
Well,
Did you know
but
that?
the super PAC, the super PACs are throwing all the money.
Yeah.
But I guess some of these guys maybe are just sticking around, trying to stick around as best they can. Like Chris Christie has no shot at winning this, none. I guess they're just sticking around. Maybe they hope that they can get a VP
3 meals out of it.
Well, maybe perhaps that a good buffet, perhaps I don't know. You can go to Iowa and all that stuff, but. There's VP possibilities for some of these guys.
Yeah,
although
absolutely.
I still think whoever ends up being the nominee, I still think Carly has to be considered big time as the VP.
You would hope.
And this isn't a Palin move for them trying to get the women vote. This is a legit. People aren't going to look at her as a joke.
If you haven't been watching her, she has been just damned impressive in whatever
Yeah.
she's done. Whether it's on the debate stage, whether it's on interviews with commentators that are traditionally hostile to conservatives, she's handled every question. And some of the doubts about, like, Jeb Bush,
Right.
with oh, you didn't think they'd ask about Iraq? Oh, boy, well, you answered that question poorly, but how could you have seen that coming?
Right.
She's handled that I've seen, and I'm sure she will put her foot in. Everybody
They all
does.
do.
These days, campaign, you have to. But she's handled every question remarkably. And, I mean, I agree with you. I think, especially if they're obviously facing Hillary Clinton with the women's vote. I mean, it'd be nice to have someone like Carly Fiorina on there that can maybe talk
she
to
can
some of the
she
issues.
can pound on Hillary, and it won't be you're a misogynist or you're attacking women or whatever.
Well, Hillary
they
Clinton
need that
said
cover.
last week, and we talk about Trump because Trump is the obvious one to.
Right.
When we're talking about throwing bombs, you can't beat Trump.
I mean, yeah.
But Hillary Clinton came out with some stuff this week, comparing Republicans to what was it? I mean, the same. They'll take us back, or something like that. But she compared them to Al Qaeda essentially on women's rights. I mean, whether it's out of left field or whether it's incredible hyperbole, whatever,
Both.
the attacks are coming.
Of course.
So, I mean, I think that would be a lot better than Lindsey Graham for the vice president.
Yeah.
But it's been crazy because it's been fascinating. The dynamic has been, I've never seen anything like this. Donald Trump, who I'm going to admit I was wrong. And many political commentators have been.
Oh.
I didn't think Donald Trump would run. And like you very adequately just explained, I didn't think he would keep his high poll numbers after this comment, this comment.
It's amazing.
But he's killing it. And he actually, in the last day, because even when he was rising in the polls, he was still you can't bet on presidential elections here, which is the worst. But the Europeans do, because they're allowed to. They bet on presidential elections. And when Donald Trump was rising in the polls, Jeb Bush was still the betting favorite.
Right.
Now that has changed in the last week with some of the things we mentioned, is unfavorability being okay and stuff or going down at least to a manageable
trending in the right
level.
direction.
Yeah, exactly. Trump is now the legitimate favorite for most betting odds. I mean, these are shady Irish books that only I know about. But, well, that's not true. They're on the internet. But we're not going to get into that. He's the legitimate favorite now. And going back 6 months, Hillary Clinton was the ironclad, she's got everybody by the testicles favorite.
And that's the amazing thing on that side of things is how much. I mean, first off, everybody's stunned at what Bernie Sanders is doing, and
he's done amazing.
And I'm shocked by it because I can't believe people are buying into this. But I mean, hey, they were buying into Howard Dean years ago too,
and Obama,
and he had that flame out. Howard Dean did, and that ended his campaign. You're expecting at some point that Bernie Sanders will have that flame out.
Well, he's a populist. Bernie Sanders is a populist, and that's what's working right now. And I mean, 2004, you're right. I'm glad you brought up Howard Dean because
he was Howard Dean. Yeah,
he caught fire. Obama caught fire. I mean, they're very. Hillary Clinton. How can you stand if you're a progressive on the left? Mm-hmm. How can you stand up there and go, we support Hillary Clinton as our nominee after 5 years you've been railing against the 1%, been railing against money in politics, been railing against K Street interest and all that stuff. Hillary Clinton embodies that, And I mean, you add the unfavorability with the line and the untrustworthiness, which most voters identify with her on top of that. And Bernie Sanders it's not just with Democrats. So I mean, I'm generally a Republican guy. Bernie Sanders has done some, even though he's a, quote, socialist, although real socialists would argue that he's not a real socialist, he's done some good things in the Senate. and most notably with the VA.
Right.
After
right.
that was a total debacle, he reached across the aisle. I forget. I think with McCain, and he did some good work. And he is generally well regarded, and he's generally regarded as somebody who isn't going to hide,
Right.
behind the positions. I mean, even a criticism of Obama with gay marriage. He didn't support gay marriage in 2008.
Right.
He didn't support it in 2012. Bernie Sanders isn't the kind of guy that is going to hide. He's going to tell you what his position
Sure.
is, and that's in stark contrast to Clinton.
And I like that about Sanders because, again, none of these guys, for as much as either side, if you're on the left and you want to demonize the Republicans or conservatives or whatever, you're going to do that. If you're on the right and you want to demonize the liberals or the leftists or whatever, you're going to do that. But the reality is, I don't think there's any candidate that is completely evil to the point that they're unreasonable, right? There isn't anybody that's unreasonable.
Let me go back over the list. Yeah, I agree.
They're not at least completely unreasonable. I mean, again, Bernie Sanders reaching out for the VA, of course, because he understands these are the guys we're supposed to be taking care of. The guys and girls we're supposed to be taking care of. None of them are inherently 100% evil unless you are so far left or so far right, you can't see something good that these
Inherently
people
100%
do. Yeah,
evil.
I mean, that's just
I
the
like
reality of it. So
The Omen Part 3.
Right.
You ever see that movie?
I-
Damien, the Omen. He eventually becomes president. That's 100% evil, baby.
I didn't see that.
That's
I didn't
it.
realize he won the
Nobody
election.
really saw it. It's like,
But that's the thing that you look at for Sanders. You go, okay, yeah, he's done some pretty good things, reach across the aisle. But here's the thing, and all these guys, it's not just Sanders, so I'm not just picking on him. But when he comes out and says, free college for everybody, I go, great. Who's footing the bill for it? Because nothing's free.
well, ironically,
Somebody's paying for it. Nothing is
Ironically,
free.
the millennials, because he's doing real well with young people,
course.
obviously.
Because
Ironically, the millennials who already were 19 trillion in debt approaching, each taxpayer owes about 150 grand.
yeah.
When millennials turn 60 and 70, they're going to realize
Well,
maybe.
we'll be getting gone by then.
No,
so.
I'm going to be in a mall laughing and saying, "You paid for this, son." The bill always comes
and
due.
that's the problem. Is at some point the bill has to come due for a lot of this stuff. And
It doesn't matter. Does it matter? I would argue in politics these days, it just matters now. And it's both Republicans and Democrats have
agreed.
sacrificed the future. And, hey, if another one does it,
yeah, and that's
he can still get elected.
I know,
maybe.
and that's the amazing thing because I think all these guys look at it and say, "I'll just say whatever I need to do." And I think Sanders believes it could work for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
But when any of these guys come out and say, "We'll do this and we'll make this free or community college free or what," somebody's paying for it. Somebody has to pay the professors. Somebody has to pay the teachers and the teachers' aides and everything else. It's not free. That money has to come from somewhere, and they don't have a plan for it. At least I haven't seen a viable one that I go, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Until I do, I can't sit there and be like, you know what, that wouldn't be such a bad idea.
I
You haven't
just
shown me
like
how it
that
works.
it's an old man in his 70s who looks like that crazy professor you had back in college, that wild-eyed guy.
Right.
But his supporters are mostly young college-age types.
Because they
I just like that.
Don't
I
know
like
any
that dynamic. Well, maybe so. I mean, it worked for Barack Obama a lot. People who hadn't voted before.
Well, right.
People, younger generation.
little different, and because I
A
think
little different.
I
First
think,
black president.
Right, and I think- and I-
obviously.
I think there's a lot of that where people wanted to, for whatever reason, they wanted to feel good about themselves, saying that they voted for the guy who ended up winning. Okay, I mean, if you're going to use your vote to make yourself
I
feel
almost
better,
voted. Again, I generally
for it.
vote Republican. I did McCain. I mean,
well, I
people
mean, no,
just-
look, both
people just can't stand that guy anymore.
guys that they ran against Obama were disasters. We know that. I mean, we don't have to recast history here. We know that that's how it went down. But I don't know that Sanders, when you get to the general election, if he ends up somehow, some way being the nominee, I don't know that enthusiasm sticks with him.
Yeah.
Because I think the more people look and watch and hear him speak, I think more of them are going to be like, this guy just isn't inspiring.
Well, I can see Karl Rove smiling, having a permanent erection, thinking of Bernie Sanders in the general election.
Well,
I mean,
let's be honest.
you can run
But
the
Rove-
old school Republican ads. The old school.
The
ones.
problem is Karl Rove. When was the last time Karl Rove?
Wow, Karl Rove.
was
I just
right
threw
about
that out as
anything,
a
though.
Republican guy.
I know, but I'm just saying.
I don't know.
I'm so tired of Rove being.
I'm
around
sure
any of
many
this stuff.
strategists will have boners thinking
Well,
about
yeah, but
going up against Bernie Sanders.
Rove hasn't won a top-notch election in years.
That's true. That's
Years.
True. That's true.
And all this stuff when he comes on and goes on Fox and this is going to happen. He's wrong so many times. I don't know why they keep
And
him
I'm
around.
wrong all the time
He's like-
too, and I'm doing a podcast now.
He's-
I was wrong about Trump. I thought, what's the other thing I was wrong? I was wrong about Sanders in my.
I know.
Well, I nailed I had a list of 5 guys. Why are you running for president?
Right.
Are you insane? I had Santorum. I had O'Malley. I had Graham, and I had
Trump.
no Perry.
Oh, right.
But I was wrong about Sanders. I was wrong about Bernie Sanders, and I was wrong about Donald Trump. What can I tell you?
Yeah, but
All
you're,
right.
not, you're not having millions of dollars spent on elections when you're telling people that you know how they can strategize and win, like Karl Rove
That's
has
true.
done and
That's true.
hasn't been very successful in high-profile races here lately.
That's true.
So.
That's true. Well, it's been a hell of a summer for politics, which is good because sports has been a little on the wan side. But we're going to get into sports and movies now. I don't know. What do you think? Sports or movies?
Well, it is
politics, movies,
movies,
and
sports. You might as well go
All
to
right.
the movies next.
All right, your wheelhouse is sports too.
Yeah,
leave
we'll get
for
that to
last.
the
I
end.
wanted to talk to Bill. Bill is a radio personality in Washington D.C. He's been talking a lot about the Redskins on air, and I want to hear what the hell is going on there because I also live in Washington, but I've been confused. I've been scared to listen. I don't know what's happening here. It's the most dysfunctional organization maybe in all of sports. I mean, you
Yes.
could argue that. You could argue
No,
that.
there's no argument. They are.
All right, we're going to movies. I don't
Yeah,
want
I
to
was gonna
segue too much.
Say,
But anyway, I'm going to
spoiler alert. They are the most dysfunctional
Spoiler
franchise.
alert. All right, well, movies. Wes Craven last night. That was a thing that I was a little upset about because I love me some Wes Craven, and I'm a horror fan. I am a horror fan.
I was surprised. I mean, I got the news that he had died. I saw it on Twitter, where most everybody gets their news these days. And
Well, I don't know if that's true, is it?
yeah, I was surprised because
I mean, people like us get it from Twitter.
yeah, I didn't realize that he was 76, and I guess that's
Yeah.
just me not paying attention. That happens
Wow,
so
I mean,
much
we're
now.
paying attention to
Well,
how old a director
Yeah, I know, but that's
is.
what I'm saying. It's so weird because that happens to me, and maybe it's just because I'm of a certain age. But when people die, and you go, "My God, they were 80? Is that right?" I mean, Wes Craven was 76, but you go,
Yeah.
"It just seems like he did Nightmare on Elm Street." It wasn't that, and then you go, "Oh no, it was about 30 years ago."
No, it was
so-
about 32 years
Yeah,
ago.
it was-
Oh,
it was a while
31, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, but
Yes.
he was.
I
awesome.
love on Twitter too. Don't you love on Twitter how everybody's like, if this is true for like an hour because they're like, this still could be a hoax.
Well,
and I
that's
just don't want to seem like a dummy.
Right, that's the problem. Is everybody's doing the hoax deaths and everything else.
He is totally dead. So
Apparently, yeah.
Whip Wes Craven. Rip Wes Craven.
He was, and maybe it's just because I was in high school when the Elm Street ones came out.
You take your girlfriend out to see a Nightmare on Elm Street?
I don't know that I ever took dates.
You were a
my
little young.
friends-
You were like 13. when it
Yeah,
came out.
probably. I mean, but I was in high school when like 2 and 3 and everything came out. I
Yeah.
mean, but those were, and maybe it's because they were the horror movies for our generation.
Right.
But I almost feel like he brought that genre back.
Generation X.
Right.
I know we look like we're millennials, but we're actually Generation X.
But I just remember those were the one you waited for the next Krueger movie to come out, and it was weird because most of the time in horror movies you weren't rooting for Krueger,
right.
but Craven made it so you would go and you actually at times were rooting for Krueger.
Yeah.
You didn't root for Jason. I never rooted for Jason in the Friday the 13th movies. But I would go watch Nightmare on Elm Street and be like, I can't wait to see how they figure out how to kill people this time around.
Yeah. It blew. It was so. And again, it's. I feel bad. I wrote a column this last week on It Follows and The Babadook, which are two fairly popular movies going around. We can talk about them some other time. But how Wes Craven influenced those movies. And from even the little things like the fall setting. Think about that.
Yeah.
Now, Halloween did that too.
Yeah, of course.
And a lot of other things did. But what was so scary about A Nightmare on Elm Street? Well, there were many things, but
I was going to say,
sleep is something you have
to do. You can't avoid. Yeah,
it
right.
was a brilliant premise.
Yep.
And as I watched these two other movies, without going into it, sleep deprivation plays a role in one of them. Okay, you got the fall setting, in another one. It's the music just reminds you of A Nightmare on Elm Street. And these guys that make these new movies, they grew up on this too.
Of course.
And it was such a masterpiece. And it's, horror is, less serious than comedy, as a genre. But there's legions of devoted fans, and if you look at the type of movies, what Wes Craven did was remarkable.
Yeah.
I mean, he set the standard.
Well, and then the Scream series, years later, looking back and almost, in a way, making fun of the horror slasher movies that had been done before.
He parodied himself.
It was.
Excuse me, my kid is
no,
making
please,
noise.
yeah, go ahead and take care of that if you will. I'm sure he's fine. But that was the amazing thing about the Scream whole series is he looked at it and kind of made fun and borrowed from a lot of other horror movies.
Yep.
Built it into Scream, and it was still again the part that you could not avoid. You could not avoid being at home. I mean, I guess you could leave, but it was the horror of you had to go about your day-to-day activity, and there was no way to avoid what was going on.
Yeah.
Freddy movies, you don't have to go camping out at Crystal Lake.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
Right.
You can avoid Freddy.
That's what was so terrifying of
Yeah.
a Nightmare's premise. And It Follows is about kids having sex. And I wrote, you don't have to have sex either, but teenagers,
Sure. Right.
So, same premise, though.
Right,
It's a terrifying thing for teenagers, when they're having sex, to be stalked because of that. And A Nightmare on Elm Street, and the main thing about it is, before you knew what Freddy was, it was the most terrifying thing.
Right.
It was the most terrifying. Do you remember, and this goes into the Babadook, again, if you haven't seen these movies, the 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you.
The kids doing the nursery rhyme. Sure.
It's just terrifying and creepy.
And it was, and I don't know, because I don't watch enough horror movies, so maybe I'm completely wrong on this. I don't remember Jason didn't really speak, so you can't throw Jason into that.
Right.
But I don't remember another villain like that having the sense of humor, if you will, as sick and dark and twisted as it was, that Krueger had.
Yeah.
And I don't know that anybody's been able to do that since then with the horror.
It was crazy.
genre.
And when you figure out what something is, it becomes less scary.
Right.
And what Wes Craven was able to do is, as you kind of figured out what Freddy was and you weren't as scared of him anymore, he took it into wit.
Right.
And it was a general transition that I would argue kept going through the nightmares in the Scream. Where it parodied itself.
True. Yeah.
It's just
there's a lot of comedy in Scream. Yeah.
He's a clever guy, And I was telling you, he was in Jay and Silent Bob. He made that appearance. He was a guy who wasn't afraid to laugh, and have fun with what he was doing. And in anything, if you're one of those guys, you're going to be successful.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I think, to me,
Wes Craven.
And maybe absolutely, and maybe other people will disagree with this. I thought 3.
Scream 3.
No.
Oh, Nightmare on Elm Street 3?
I think Freddy Krueger, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, and I don't remember what the subheading of it was.
The Dream Warriors.
Yes, you're right. That's the one it was. I thought that was the best one.
It's pretty good.
And that's pretty rare to go from
Yeah.
because you already know the concept. You already know going in what the deal is with Krueger, how he comes and kills people. It was still brilliant.
Yeah.
Still brilliant.
I enjoyed it a lot. I remember seeing it in the movie theater. We were a little older then. We're probably in our high teens
Yeah.
by then.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I mean, the guy did a lot of stuff. He did a lot of other stuff. We're looking it up on IMDb. He's done, decades and decades of good stuff. Even some of his low budget, not low budget, but his under the radar, shocker stuff like that. People love that stuff. I mean, it's a big loss. So on the site, if you go to the site, you'll see a column I wrote. God, before I knew he was even sick, I wrote the column on how these two movies were influenced by Wes Craven. Really just a Nightmare on Elm Street. I didn't talk about Craven that much, but it's amazing. I mean, 30 years later, his presence is still
great.
felt.
Yeah, still
they're
relevant.
remaking. This is why I wrote the column, because I was like, they just remade A Nightmare on Elm Street back in 2010.
Yeah, I didn't go see it. Yeah, I didn't go see it. Was it?
I didn't see it.
Yeah.
So
I hate remakes. That's
yeah,
why.
I mean, some of the reviews were okay, but it was generally like, whatever.
Right.
But they're redoing it again. They're redoing it in a year. So the guy who wrote it's a movie called Orphan is writing this version, and he's very good. But I mean,
it's not gonna be the same.
No, you can't. I mean, it's the time has passed. Where he lives on is in other movies that are just influenced by it, and they take the creativity to a different level.
Right. Right.
So rip Wes Craven, and this week is pretty much the end of the summer movie season.
Has it been? And again, you're a guy who's writing on the site again, PM&S.com.
Thank you.
You're the one going and looking at all the different movies and reviewing them and everything else. I'll be the first one to admit I haven't seen a ton.
What are you seeing
of
this
the
summer, by the way?
You know what? The last movie I saw, we went out there as a drive-in movie theater out in Staunton, Virginia.
This year, right?
This year, yes.
Back in the 70s.
I mean, this place, every weekend, it is sold out. I mean, people pack that place in. Nice. We went and took the kids, and I say kids, they're 19 and 17. They wanted to go see Minions. And it was,
Yeah.
It was okay.
I agree.
And I enjoyed the Minions in the Despicable Me movies. I thought they were a nice part of it, cute part of it. They couldn't carry an entire movie, at least not the story that they
No, they did. I thought they did the best they could, because I mean, it's.
They don't speak, so how can you can't write lines for them?
I'll say this: I've been amazed at the movies they make based on premises I never could have thought they could make a movie, like the Lego movie. I'm like, how are you gonna make a movie? But they did.
It worked.
And it worked. And the Minions is okay. It made more money. I mean, it made a ton of money.
Yeah, of course.
Kids flocked to McDonald's to get those toys out of the Happy Meals with the Minions going, and
they thought
one of them said,
cursing at you.
F you or something. I don't know. I gave them to my kid. So he's got a million of them.
What's this summer? What's 2015? What movie, when people look back and they say, oh yeah, that was the movie of 2015? It's not going to be until November, December, right? When Star Wars comes out.
I mean, Star Wars is going to clean up. First of all, box office-wise, this summer has dominated the last summer. And that's to be expected. Now, as far as quality, well, Jurassic World and Avengers 2. Okay. Jurassic World was very good. I thought it was very well done. It made a ton of movie. It started really with Fast and Furious.
Oh right.
I can't even remember what they're calling it.
Fast and Furious 7.
It was a fun movie. Yeah, it was a fun movie, and they handled that real well, by the way. That Paul Walker thing at the end, it was sentimental. It teared me up a little bit, but it really did. And I mean, I don't give a fuck about Paul Walker. Sorry to be so explicit, but I don't. I mean, I thought he was a terrible actor.
Have you?
I'm glad he's dead. No, I'm not.
Have you been surprised at the staying power here of Straight Outta Compton?
Yeah, I've been a little surprised, and I knew it was going to be big. It was one of the movies, not big. Actually, I take that back. I didn't know it was going to be big. I knew it was going to be well received, and I was excited to see it. It was very good. It was a very good movie. Some of the, it's not a documentary in a lot of respects. It's just entertainment. But, I mean, it was a good movie. I was surprised that Facebook thing the social media thing straight out of Blank.
Oh,
that
right,
you could
right.
generate.
The mem- the-
That's
yeah,
the
meme.
best.
Right.
That is the best movie hype I've seen since I don't know
That's
a
great. It's
long
brilliant.
time. It was brilliant. It just won the week for the third straight week.
I know, that's what I'm
this
saying.
week.
I figured the first week it came out, everybody would be hammering. It would be all over it, and
Yeah.
I figured it would do gangbusters
Well, I never
and
thought
everything.
it would do gangbusters. though.
I
I thought it would do a
week
nice
one.
$40 million,
Yeah.
$30 million week one. It did something like 55 million, but it's done better than they could have possibly hoped financially.
And I have to give credit because
It's a good movie.
there was a couple of women that they didn't portray their stories in the movie
Right,
that have come out here in the last couple of weeks with all the publicity that this movie got
right.
and talked about their interactions with Dr. Dre back in the day and how he beat them. And that's fact. That's not them making stuff up. That is fact.
Absolutely.
And it wasn't portrayed in the movie. I give him credit for coming out, owning it, and basically saying, hey, look, that was 30 years ago, however many years ago it was. I'm not that same guy anymore. Everybody makes mistakes. I apologize to them and go on with it, because he could have very easily never answered any questions about it, never said anything about it, but he addressed it, seemed sincere when he apologized for it, and moved on. So I give him credit for actually taking ownership of it, because so many other times you wouldn't see anybody do that, especially when they've got a big hit movie out.
Especially in politics, you know.
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
just move on. Yeah, I mean that was the thing to do, and I've often wondered about that. You know, when I hear the, well, not to get too political, but the the war on women and the violence on women
Right.
and all this, and there's a segment of, and I listen to rap music. I don't know. I'm not a connoisseur, but you were more of a connoisseur.
Yeah, I mean, as you get older, I don't listen to a lot of this stuff now. But
I don't listen. Are you kidding? I don't listen to any of it now. I
Well,
put
yeah,
on Backspin,
we have a kid,
and
so-
I listen to Public Enemy,
Right.
and I listen to this stuff straight out of Compton.
Right, as I say, when we were
NWA,
when we were growing up back then, that was kind of when it first
Oh, it was good.
hit mainstream.
It was a lot
I mean,
better than now.
Oh yeah, I mean you
Kanye in 2020,
Yeah.
right.
but I mean you had NWA, you had
Yeah.
Dre and Snoop, and you had Run DMC even before
All of
that.
stuff.
And yeah, all those guys. I mean, and if you want to go back even further,
Slick
Sugar Hill Gang or
Rick,
whatever.
all
But yeah,
that,
Slick Rick.
It was,
And
it was good. It was
yeah,
good.
Eric B. and Rakim. I saw a thing the other
Mhm.
day. They got together for the first time in 20 years and performed the other night or something. And I mean, it was just different, but you didn't. I don't know. I mean, you just didn't buy into everything. I don't remember sitting there, and again, a lot of it has to do with upbringing and everything else. I don't remember sitting there listening to the music and then suddenly being like,
beat up a
I
woman.
want to go slap a bitch around. Why not? I mean, you didn't. To me, it was more about being
I didn't
fascinated.
really know what jocking the bitches
Well,
was. I
there's
had no
that.
idea. I gotta admit.
You know, when
Slapping the hose. I
When-
had no idea.
when-
I never slapped any hose.
when Warren G and Nate Dogg came out with Regulate, and they talked about pulling out their guns and dropping people on the street when you're getting robbed. Now I was 23 at the time. That came out in '94.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like I was like, damn, you know what? They're right. I need to start carrying a piece. To me, it was more like, this beat is ridiculously good, and these guys have a tremendous flow. They're amazing.
Yeah, what is it? Foster the People, too? I mean, that's different genre of music, but it's like, you gonna outrun my gun, I mean, nobody, I mean, whatever, but it was a good movie. And I mean, it's definitely one of the stories of 2015.
Yeah, I think
I mean,
it's
there's
remarkable.
no doubt. There's no doubt.
I'm happy for those guys. I mean, good for them.
Yeah, I mean, Dr. Dre didn't need any more freaking money.
No.
But I don't know. I mean, there were a lot of good high budget. I mean, I'm not even going to say this year has been an especially high quality year for movies. But Mission Impossible, Jurassic Park, Fast and Furious, Avengers, and Star Wars
I was
are
gonna
the
say,
five.
it comes in, December's when Star Wars is coming out,
and
Christmas?
I mean, that is going to make so much money. That will probably be
As a movie guy, and I'll admit, I was a big fan of, well, I guess you go back and say 4, 5, and 6, the first 3 Star Wars that came out. I wasn't a big fan of the prequels. I still don't think I've seen the first prequel all the way through.
Okay.
Just because Jar Jar Binks annoys me. But are you as a
Why
movie
does he
guy,
annoy me, Bill?
as a movie guy, does it bother you to
Oh,
see?
Miko. I don't even know what he says. Sorry.
Does it bother you to see
Can't do a Jar Jar Binks impersonation.
all these leaks coming out of the movie? Seeing all the stills with some of the characters that I don't even know their names or what they're involved in. They have the new lightsaber, the cross lightsaber, and you've seen stills of that.
Well, I don't mind that, but you bring up a great point. I mean, I don't want these spoilers that you're getting.
But they're
and
all
it's
coming.
The worst for Star Wars, and it's the worst for superhero movies. And I'll tell you this, though. On the internet, which was around during the prequels, there was a lot of that, too, except it was more not like the first look of, don't you touch that camera, Bo. Bo, come here.
Staff Dog Bo.
Bo, come here. There was a lot of, it wasn't like first image from Star Wars or anything like that. It was just rumors of what might happen. And I could kind of abide by that a little better. Right. I mean, can you imagine if everybody knew Darth Vader was Luke's father before The Empire Strikes Back? But then it's terrible. I don't want to read that stuff.
There'll probably be, I don't know, there'll be big plot lines like that that are leaked out.
Well,
there,
I mean,
maybe.
it's you read it on these sites, and I mean, granted, mine is not a strictly entertainment site. Now, I don't do any spoilers hardly at all. I'll give you the preview. I'll give you the trailer up there.
The official.
But I'm not going to give you. You can go on these sites now and find out. The new Captain America movie coming out next year called Civil War. You can see what superheroes are fighting against what. I don't want to see that. I want to go to the movie theater and be surprised. I don't care that much anyway, but
Well, speaking of all those spoilers, and this is for next year, and this has been a huge debate in amongst the, I don't know, you want to call it
nerds?
Well, sure, nerds, fine, whatever. Is all the stuff that's being leaked on Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
A ton of stuff on Ghostbusters. And look, I'm on record. I've said it on the radio.
The lady Ghostbusters, you mean?
I'm completely out on this movie. I will not go see it. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm even upset, and I love Bill Murray, that he's given his blessing for this. Forget it. It will not get a dime of my money.
Okay, fair enough. I don't know. I mean, I'll see it because I kind of have to if I'm running this site.
Sure.
But I'm with you there. I'm with you on that one. I mean, you just get Hollywood with money after a while. I mean, how much can you remake? You got to remake everything.
Well, that's the problem.
You just don't. You just got to leave some stuff be. But it's all about money. I mean, it's all about money now. It's simple as that.
I don't know. And again,
now our generation has some money.
I guess that's what it is.
So
we want to see everything that we saw before. I guess
we're telling our kids about it.
Well, it was like the Vacation movie.
Yeah.
And
didn't make very much money.
No, but youngest daughter came home and said that might have been the funniest movie that I've seen. And I said, you haven't seen the original, so I didn't say that.
Seen many movies.
I was gonna say so, but she
it
loved
wasn't.
it.
It was fun. I mean, it had some funny moments. Did you see it?
No, I refused to because I said I've seen this movie and it was funny the first time. It won't be funny this time.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't even close.
But the nice thing was when I told her that, she then sat down because they binge watch stuff now these days and watched like the original Vacation, European Vacation. She'd obviously seen Christmas Vacation numerous times. They love that movie, but watched them both that afternoon. So at least she has an appreciation for what actually came before the remake.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's not letting up anytime soon. I'll tell you that. I mean, superhero movies and remakes. I mean, well, I am too. You know what? And I'm tired of it because of the internet. Just the constant chatter about it.
I'm tired of it because
most minute comic book details.
Right.
So I heard did you sell some comic books today?
I was trying to. I haven't.
You haven't sold it yet?
The guy wasn't there. I need to go back.
He has some comic books from when he was young.
Well, no, not mine. They were somebody else's.
Oh, okay. Well, you can admit if they were.
No, they weren't mine. Trust me.
Okay, I mean, X-Men very popular.
Yeah, the X-Men. There's Batman. Some other. I don't know what's all in there.
Okay.
But I don't. Here's the reason why I don't like the superhero movies. One, I wasn't a comic book guy growing up necessarily.
Right.
But I hate, and I'm with you, I hate the guys that are going to sit there and look at it and go, well, that's not how really this guy came about, or this guy really wasn't involved in it. I don't care. I just want to be
Well, and it's one thing when you're making the Avengers, and it's like Thor and the Hulk and people everybody's heard of, but now they're going, with Ant-Man, which was a pretty good movie.
Is he an Avenger? I don't even know.
He can be. I mean, they can put him. See, it's all relatable now.
Okay.
They can have crossovers. They do what they want in the Marvel universe. But these characters that were so Black Panther, Green Lantern. It's just okay, whatever. I mean, some of them I literally haven't heard of. I was a little bit of a comic book guy.
Somebody make a good Spider-Man. Somebody make another good Batman. I don't need to see Batman versus Superman. I predict it'll be huge.
It's not.
Yeah,
no, it's not gonna bomb.
But no, here's the thing. I predict it won't be a very good movie. It'll do huge numbers. I don't think it's gonna be very good.
I think it's destined to be an okay movie. And I've discussed this in a column as well, PM&S.com. It just doesn't jive because why the Batman movies were so successful is because they were gritty and they were realistic. Not realistic, but Bane wasn't a 10-foot, guy pumped up on green super steroid juice. He was just a big guy, a villain, a regular villain. Now you're getting Batman's world into the fantastical Superman world, and it isn't there. You know what I mean? It just doesn't.
And let's be honest, if you really were going to have a fight between the two, Batman would stand no chance.
Exactly.
I mean, that's...
Well, exactly, but apparently he has some sort of super suit, because yes, I've seen some spoilers.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. I don't want that. I like the fallible Batman.
We just want Wonder Woman to tie us up with her magical lariat, make us tell the truth. That's all I want.
I want another good Spider-Man, because there hasn't been one since they stopped using
It's been a while. It's been a while.
And I don't know, but some people like Batman now. I can't see them going to Affleck and being a good Batman. That's where I can't buy into that.
Well, let's not get into Ben Affleck. That's a topic for another time. Ben Affleck. He's done some good work. He was Left for the Dead.
But he's not Batman.
I know. He's just not Batman. So anyway, well,
because I didn't like Val Kilmer's Batman either. So.
No, well, and George Clooney. I mean, that was ridiculous.
Hard to get by. Keaton and Christian Bale have both done well.
Christian Bale was good. Keaton was solid. It's always about the villains with Batman.
Right.
So anyway. Well, we won't get into that, but this week is pretty much the last week of the summer. Even though summer, you got a couple more weekends. You got a Transporter Refueled movie coming out this weekend. That ain't going to do a heck of a lot of business. This last weekend, Zac Efron's movie was the 4th worst opening of any movie to open in 2,000 plus theaters since 1982. So
I wouldn't even know what the movie is.
We Are Your Friends. It was about a DJ. He's a DJ.
Apparently he doesn't have a lot of friends.
But apparently he doesn't. I mean, but that shows you, I mean, even if people weren't going to see that movie anyway, but the summer season has winded down. I mean, it's essentially over.
What has he done other than being a Disney guy? He's a Disney guy, right?
Yeah. But he was in Neighbors with Seth Rogen. He just took off his shirt a couple times. Brought in some female customers to that movie.
I guess.
So, what are you going to do?
Dreamy hair, I guess.
He does have dreamy hair. But anyway, moving on. We're going to talk some sports. You want to take a break? You want to get a drink or something?
No, it's up to you. We can keep going, or if you need to check on your child or
my child.
your dog.
I got a baby monitor here. I got a 3-year-old upstairs. I've chained him to the bed. He's moving around now. He's still moving around.
I don't hear any screams, so I guess he's still okay.
He's up to something. He's plotting something, but no emergency, so we'll just continue with the podcast.
Sure.
All right, sports. I wanted to talk to Bill because I don't know what's going on in Washington. It just gives me a headache. I'm not even a Redskins fan, but I live in Washington. I love listening to sports radio here because there's a lot of talent. Bill is fantastic. There are lots of other people that are fantastic. I listen to a decent amount of sports radio. I can't figure out what's going on. So Bill, tell us what's going on with RG3
Well,
and the Redskins.
What's going on is there's not really much left with RG3 and the Redskins, apparently, because it was announced today, and we're doing this on August 31st. It was announced this morning that, much to the chagrin of all the RG3 fans, he will not be the starting quarterback in 2015 for the Washington Redskins. They announced,
whole year, they said.
Well, this was the weird thing. Yeah, it was Jay Gruden, the head coach, came out in his press conference, said, yes, we've got an announcement to make. Kirk Cousins is going to be our starter for the 2015 season. And he was asked, okay, you say for the season, so he's your quarterback. And he was like, yes, he's going to be our quarterback. He'll start week 1, and we expect him to start every game this year. Now, later in the press conference, he went on to say, well, of course, we're always evaluating and performance, certainly.
Sure.
But he was like, I don't want to think about him not playing well or getting hurt and having to make a change. So they're basically all in now on Cousins, which is a remarkable turnaround because 72 hours or so ago, they were preparing to play Baltimore. And Robert Griffin had a concussion against Detroit. And he went through the NFL protocol. And he was cleared on Thursday. Verbally, I guess, they expected him to be cleared. Then on Friday, the doctor that the NFL assigned to this case re-looked at all the information on his test and said, no, he shouldn't play. He should have to be retested in a week or 2. So he's not cleared. And that was a whole firestorm because everybody went, well, wait a minute, why did they reverse course just 24 hours later? And then they announced that Cousins would start against Baltimore. But there were even Redskins players that didn't know that Griffin had been, quote-unquote, uncleared Friday night. They weren't even telling their own team what was going on, let alone letting everybody else know. And then Cousins goes out and plays well on Saturday night. He wasn't great. He was okay.
No, he was solid, right?
Yeah. And so all of a sudden, Gruden comes out today and says that, yes, it wasn't because of the concussion or the injury. It's because of performance that Cousins has supplanted Robert Griffin as a starter. He would not commit. He said they would reevaluate when Griffin was cleared on who the number 2 guy was. But in my mind, I don't think there's any question that I think he'd rather have McCoy as the starter anyway.
You do?
I do. And I think that McCoy ends up being number 2. Griffin's 3, and there have been a ton of people that have speculated that Griffin won't even be here opening day for the Redskins.
Well, nobody's going to trade with him, for him because of his salary, obviously.
Yeah,
right?
Well, here's the thing. You only have to worry about his salary for next year, and I think that's what you're talking about, is the 2016 salary.
I thought he just had a 1-year deal for the Skins.
This is the last year of the original 4-year, $21 million deal.
Oh, I see.
His salary cap number, if he's traded to somebody, is only like $3.3 million.
Oh, okay.
The Redskins, if they cut him, are on the hook for $6.7 because of the prorated signing bonus, which would not go with him if he were traded.
Gotcha.
The money that everybody's worried about is the $16 million that they picked up for his option for 2016.
I didn't even know. I thought that was this year.
Why
would they have done? Why would they do that?
Here's why. Because the only way it's guaranteed is if he's hurt to the point that he can't play in 2016.
Gotcha.
The odds of a guy suffering a career-ending injury, which would probably be what it would be for him not to be able to pass a physical for 2016, very slim. They were doing, and this is why this is so bizarre, they were trying to do everything they could to give this guy the encouragement, whatever you want to call it, that he was their guy, he was their number 1. So you announce when they hadn't had any other type of competition back in February, they hadn't competed against Cousins, they hadn't played a game, hadn't been to practice, he's our starter. And then a couple months later, we're picking up the option. They were doing everything they could to encourage this guy, Robert Griffin, at every turn, and it just didn't work. He didn't get any better. He didn't progress. I mean, he is right now a shell of what he was in 2012. And quite honestly, a lot of people now, you go. It's interesting to go back and read because everybody laughed at the anonymous scouts that come out every year around draft time.
I know.
And they start talking about, you go back and read some things on
He's just
Griffin.
a guy. He's just a guy.
And they talk about, has never been asked to read defenses, has never been asked to do that, has never been asked to do this. Not sure he can be a pocket quarterback, and you go at the time. Everybody dismissed those people. Oh, you know what you're talking about.
Right.
Now here we are 5
Well,
years
the
later.
athleticism allows you to do that.
Right. Right.
And he clearly is not quite the athlete he used to be.
No, obviously.
So
and you give credit to the Shanahans, who Mike obviously no longer working in the NFL. Kyle is now the offensive coordinator in Atlanta. They found a way to create a system to make him successful, but all the drama that went into when Shanahan left after 2013, everything else, all the stories you heard about. Griffin doesn't like his negative plays being shown in the film room.
Mm-hmm.
Griffin went to them and said, I don't want to run this offense anymore. At the time, a lot of people were like, this is just Shanahan leaking stuff so he doesn't look as bad. Now, I don't know, the more that goes on with this guy, the more I tend to believe that stuff may have happened.
Yeah. Well, I know I'm not drafting a Redskins quarterback in a fantasy league.
Hey,
I mean,
Mike,
how deep would a fantasy league before you draft any of these
Mike
guys?
Shanahan says that he believes that Kirk Cousins will be a top 10 quarterback in this league and can win playoff games. He said that
I like his
today.
height. I like his, but he did.
Said it today.
I like his height. I like his poise. But
He loves throwing interceptions at bad times.
Yeah, but
he loves it. Nothing he likes better than throwing an interception at a bad time.
I wonder. I mean, and he was young. He's still young. I
So he had 9
wonder
starts.
how much of that too is when you're a backup quarterback and you're getting an opportunity and you're like, man, I got to leave it all out there because I got to win this job. I don't want to go back to being the backup. I can win this job right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're the starter, and apparently he's the starter now.
For the 2015 season,
I mean, I wouldn't
Jay
feel
Gruden.
that secure, but it may be a different thing where you're willing to kind of let the game come to you a little bit.
It's
more.
possible, but he got benched last year not because he had a game where he threw 4 picks against the Giants on a Thursday night when they got obliterated. It was his inability to get past that moment, his inability to be able to take the negative that happened and get rid of it. And if you're a quarterback, well, actually, if you're an athlete in any sport, it doesn't matter. It's just like a defensive back who gets beat for a touchdown pass. You can't hold that going out there the next time you're on the field. You can't hold on to that. That has to, as soon as you get to the sideline, has to be gone. Mm-hmm. If you're a relief pitcher and you blow a save or something to give up a big home run, as soon as you walk off the field and cross that line, by the time you get to the clubhouse, it has to be gone. He didn't have that ability last year. For whatever reason, that interception he threw in the first quarter was still with him when he was trying to play in the third quarter.
Yeah.
Was still with him the next week in practice. Now, apparently he worked with a sports psychologist over the offseason to help get rid of the negative thoughts. We'll find out quickly because Miami's no joke on defense.
They've got a young man named Necomedin.
You got Sue, you got Wake.
Yep.
I mean, you're
Cameron Wake and all those guys.
They're pretty loaded up.
Yeah, they got a good defense. They got a solid defense. Phil been better though in Miami. He's got to win 10 games or he's gone.
Yeah, I think so too.
He's gone. The poor guy. There's a lot of pressure there. I don't know if they have the offensive juice to do it, but we'll see.
The best irony, the last thing on the Redskins and Griffin, the best irony is the season tickets this year for the Miami game. Redskins, season 1, week 1 opener at FedEx Field. Robert Griffin is your picture on the ticket for week 1.
Wow.
So that was just kind of one of those, oops.
Wow.
Who knew? I mean,
Well, that's it for DC sports. At least the Nationals, the World Series favorites, are coasting into the playoffs, right?
Yeah, right.
Woo!
It has not been a good summer.
It's not been a good summer in DC for sports fans around here. But we're national sports.
Yeah.
We'll talk some national sports. Right now, the RG3 news is pretty big news.
Well, yeah, I mean, you flip on.
I mean, it's a soap opera, man.
It's amazing.
It's an ongoing freaking soap opera.
After I got off from doing my shift on Sunday, I get in the car and I'm flipping around and I go to ESPN Radio and they're talking about it. I get in my car today and our guys go to break and I flip over to see what's being talked about at ESPN. They're still talking about. I mean, it is the story because you're talking about the 2012 Rookie of the Year may be cut. Now, Jay Gruden said that wasn't going to happen. that he expected Robert Griffin as a Washington Redskins, which was weird. He kept doing the plural instead of saying Washington Redskins. He kept saying he is a Washington Redskins.
He is a Washington Redskins.
It was like a rehearsed thing to say over and over again whenever he was asked. But I mean, a lot of people have said there's just no way you can keep him around. But who knows?
Interesting.
Who knows?
Interesting. Well, we'll see. We'll follow up on that. Not too much going on. The pennant races are, they're the pennant races. Even though we got the wild card, though, in the NL, you kind of know who's going to be there, except for that Nationals Mets. You got.
Well, I think the NL West is still San
Little
Francisco.
bit,
LA
but-
is even closer than the NL East. I think
Yeah,
obviously the wild
the
cards.
Dodgers are falling apart a little bit.
Obviously
So-
the wild cards are going to be
They
Chicago.
got no hit yesterday by
I
the
know.
Cubbies.
Second time in 10 days.
That's crazy.
Obviously Chicago, Pittsburgh. Although Pittsburgh's only 3.5 back of
Yeah.
St. Louis, so
Well,
that
they're going to
could
be
tighten
in
up.
there. Those
Those
three
three are
from
in.
the Central are in.
Yep. And then
And then it's what combination of the Dodgers, Giants, Mets, and Nats. I
Right.
mean, you can say the Pods and the Diamondbacks are still there, but they're not going to.
right.
They're not going to overtake any of those teams.
And in the
so.
American League, I mean, what is it, a game and a half now between Toronto and New York? I
Yeah,
think in the LA,
yeah.
something like that.
Are they both? They're pretty much both going to be there, though, right? They're both going to. One of them's going to be a wild card.
Yeah, I
think.
think. But yeah, but the second wild card. I mean, you got Kansas City.
Kansas City's running away with everything.
Yep.
Houston's, they're pretty solid.
I think Houston and LA maybe being that. I have to look at the
wild
second wild card,
yeah,
but
yeah. Even Baltimore's only a few back, right?
oh, they
four?
this 1-6 road trip.
Oh, so
Buried
they're
them.
back now.
They're 11
Okay.
back now.
There's not. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of August, September drama really yet.
I think
even the races like the Yankees Blue Jays, I would argue is
that's
to me,
that's
most
the one. Yeah.
intriguing race.
And it could tighten up in the Central if St. Louis stumbles a little bit. Pittsburgh, is right
Right.
there, only 3.5 back, so that could get interesting.
Yeah.
If Dodgers, San Francisco, I don't know how many games they have left against each other. I would imagine probably 6.
I love
or
those.
so.
I've been tweeting out every time those two get together. It's like Baumgartner versus
Well,
Greinke.
it's tonight.
It's
Yep.
great pitching
Yep.
matchups. It's I mean, I'm a baseball guy. Bill's a baseball guy. You guys may not be baseball guys. We're baseball guys. I watch that stuff. I won't watch a whole game like that of teams I have no vested interest in. But I'll turn on Baumgartner versus Greinke every time, or Kershaw versus Strasburg or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you get a lot of matchups in the NL like that. Now the Cubs, they're amazing Cubs.
I tell you what, the Cubs
They're having a good time. You said,
yeah,
right?
they're going to be. I think again they're going to be in a one and done game in the wild card, which makes it tough.
It is tough.
But I think, especially because I'll have to go to Pittsburgh. I think
Garrett Cole at Pittsburgh. It'll be
it's.
tough.
I think though, if the Cubs can get past that wild card game, they're dangerous. They're really, really
absolutely.
dangerous because they've got
They're
an
too
offense.
dumb to know that they're too young to win.
And Jake Arrieta's pitching well. You got Arrieta and Lester as a 1-2. That's
It's pretty good.
pretty good.
They're
Even
wearing
though you
pajamas out on the field.
you can
I'll put a
lead-
picture up.
you can lead halfway to second base against John Lester when he's pitching, so he's not going to
Yeah.
pick anybody off. But
That can be a problem too. In the
yeah,
NL.
if you get a team that likes to run.
Especially, yeah.
But-
You don't have many of those though. That's left.
No.
Not too many speed teams. So, but it's summer. We talked about summer being a slow time in politics. Summer kind of a split. We're baseball guys. We enjoy baseball, but summer is going to be slow too.
Yeah. Oh,
for the sports
everything
world.
ramps up obviously in the next week with NFL starting. Next Thursday.
Yeah,
But
you
season
can
kicks off, so.
you can almost see with Brady Gate or Deflate Gate
Yeah.
just how the summer news. I haven't even paid attention. It's like that story is just insane and it's because I think it wouldn't have gotten as much play. The summer is such a dead time
Right.
that's a perfect story
Right.
for the summer.
Right.
Because it goes on and on and on and on, and I guess Brady's fighting it, but
Yeah, and I guess it'll be announced in the next 24, 48 hours.
Doesn't
So-
even matter. The Patriots can go 1-3, and
Well-
they're still gonna. They may lose home field advantage, but I'll take them in Denver too.
I think
mean,
I think the implications of if the NFL loses are much greater than if Brady
Yeah.
gets suspended.
Yeah, with
Obviously,
the,
so
with the just everything going on with the NFL in
Right.
general. And new out today, there's a new movie trailer that I don't know if you know about this one.
Concussions.
Yeah, there you go, with
Yep.
the CTE. We've had writers on the site write about that a bunch of times, and CTE problems the NFL is going through. Will Smith movie, concussion.
Owen Wilson, right? Or is it one of the Wilson
Luke
brothers?
Wilson.
Luke Wilson.
Yeah, Luke Wilson is Roger Goodell. Goodell.
Wow.
I mean, that's pretty easy. You know, you just drool down the side of your face a lot, and, you know, make angry noises every now and then towards the. I could play Roger Goodell. Anyway, so it's been a slow time, but it's obviously going to pick up. The NFL season, a week and a half. We got the NBA coming up, the NHL
Yep.
month, the training camp, NBA, NHL about a month.
Yeah, NHL gets underway October. They
Yeah,
start in
right around-
October.
yeah,
Very
they do
beginning,
start,
Yep.
yeah,
Yep. So
yeah.
training camps will start in the next couple weeks.
So all right, we're gonna do some more of these podcasts as things get going. I'm gonna pay for the NFL tickets here in this media room. I'm gonna pay for that. I'm gonna pay for the NBA ticket. I think this year
Wow.
I know I'm a Milwaukee native, and my Bucks are actually pretty good now. So I actually
Larry
wanna
Sanders
watch
out of jail
everything.
yet?
I don't think he's in jail. I think it's more of a substance, mental kind of
All right.
deal, you know.
Is he gonna be back next year with them? Or did they get rid of him already?
No. They purged him. They got him on the amnesty deal.
Oh,
They,
okay.
Actually, they bought. Incorrect.
Just
They
straight
bought
bought
out
him
his
out?
contract.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They're owed. I think they owe him something like they're on the hook for the cap, $5 million a year for the next 3 years.
Oh my gosh.
It's bad. It's like, but you see it, the Detroit Pistons with Josh Smith. I mean,
You got to do it.
you really do got to go just move on.
Yep,
Move on with
yep.
young players
Move
if
on.
you have to. And I'll tell you what, it's worked. You know.
Yeah. Yep.
So.
All
Yeah.
right.
Well,
That
that's
means we're
my
done.
son.
Yeah.
So we're gonna wrap up here. I'm Chris Jolly. That was Bill Rowland. That's still Bill Rowland. And we'll see you next time. I hope you've enjoyed our first podcast, PM&S.com. Thank you. Good day.